This week, the Atlanta Falcons will be traveling to Tampa Bay on a short week for an NFC South matchup against the Buccaneers on Thursday, November 3rd. The Falcons hold the lead and a little bit of a cushion in the division, and a win here would be really significant in terms of their win expectancy for the division and a playoff berth. They are 4-point road favorites, so the oddsmakers are certainly giving the Falcons a telling measure of respect this week. Head coach Dan Quinn let the NFL know that he was not happy about facing 3 straight teams with additional time to prepare. Atlanta has not covered the last 2 weeks, but they are 5-3 both straight up and against the spread. When the Falcons needed a big play against the Green Bay Packers this past Sunday, they called upon Matt Ryan. With Tevin Coleman out and not a lot of running room, the Falcons got a near flawless performance from Ryan. Matty Ice was 28 of 35 for 288 yards and 3 touchdowns. It was enough to grab a comeback win over the Packers, despite Aaron Rodgers' best showing of the season with 4 touchdowns. Ryan has completed 69.2% of his passes with a 19-4 touchdown interception ratio. The status of Tevin Coleman is up in the air with the short week, but Devonta Freeman is poised for a big game. The Falcons have scored 37 more points than any other team in the NFL and have gained 120 more yards than any other team. At this rate, Kyle Shanahan will be a head coach very soon. Unfortunately, only the Cleveland Browns have allowed more points than the Atlanta Falcons defense. Atlanta has given up 231 points this season and the 4th most yards in the NFL. The Falcons defense is about average in yards per play. It's just that they have had the most defensive snaps of any team. Opposing quarterbacks have completed 68% of their passes against the Falcons. Atlanta has allowed a 43% conversion rate on third down, which ranks 22nd. It's pretty stunning that a defense led by Dan Quinn could struggle this much, but the Falcons have been able to overcome this on the strength of their offense. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost in overtime in a game where they were outgained badly by the Oakland Raiders. The Buccaneers are now just 3-4 both straight up and against the spread. When they win, they cover, which has been the theme of the NFL season so far. The Buccaneers just are not a good football team. There's something to be said about teams loaded with individual talent that simply can't put it all together. Jameis Winston's development has been in question this season, as the sophomore quarterback has only completed 58.7% of his throws, with a 14-9 touchdown interception ratio. He's had to operate without Doug Martin and Charles Sims for a decent chunk of the season. Vincent Jackson is also out. We'll see if those are just excuses for Winston's performance, or is there something more to it? If Winston can't move the ball against the Falcons defense, then there's definitely a problem. Jaquez Rodgers has filled in nicely in the absence of Sims and Martin, with a 4.5 average on 88 tries. Mike Evans only has 65 yards after the catch, which is a glaring problem for this offense. The only way to make a marginal offense worse is to pair it with a bad defense. Mike Smith is way over his head once again as a defensive coordinator. Smith has a ton of talent to work with, particularly in the front 7, yet the Buccaneers have allowed 27 points per game and almost 6 yards per play. The Buccaneers have given up 13.2 yards per catch, which is second only to the Cleveland Browns. There are not enough playmakers in the secondary, and that's a terrible problem to have when going up against Matt Ryan. This is a bad spot for Atlanta, with an emotional win over Green Bay following the emotional loss to San Diego. And it's a short week for a second-year head coach. The gap between these two teams is so large that Atlanta still gets the nod here. It's hard to see how Tampa Bay is going to be able to stop this offense. These two teams already played once, and Atlanta dictated the game for a while, at least until Jameis Winston woke up. Winston has fewer weapons now than he had in that game, and he won't be able to overcome Atlanta's coaching advantage on his own. Our pick and prediction is for the Atlanta Falcons at -4. For our pick and prediction on this game and every other game this week, and a wealth of free stats and information, check out bangthebook.com.